Hey Leamons, welcome back to another video of mine. So, my birthday is today, and what's a better time than now to talk about a terrible birthday story time? You may have read the title. You may have seen that something went on fire. Well, that is all true. If I'm being honest, I've had a few birthdays that didn't go well over the years, for different reasons of course. Is that just me, by the way? Like, does anyone else seem to have something bad happen on their birthdays? Either way, in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 times I had bad birthdays. So, let's jump right into the stories. One birthday, instead of having a bunch of friends over, I wanted my 2 closest friends at the time, and because of that, I was allowed to have both of them for a sleepover, and we went to my ski cabin at the time for my party. Now, we were all pretty young back then, I'd say around 11 or 12, give or take. My 2 friends argued and fought the whole time. They did not get along whatsoever. Not even just to keep the peace for the sake of my birthday party. I've had friends where I disliked their other friends, but I would never do anything to disturb the awesome hangout or party, because I don't want to make my other friends sad. Then again, I'm shy, and to be fair, my friends were kind of young at that point in time. I don't really blame them for this at all. The reason they were fighting was because they were both apparently jealous over me. I don't know how that's possible, but that was just the case. I remember vaguely that we all went outside to play in the snow and sled down the hill. They both wanted to sled down with me in the same sled, and whenever I chose the other friend, keep in mind I was taking turns, they would either be mad or give me a sad look. Also, we had 3 sleds. It wasn't even necessary for us to take turns sledding down the hill together. But yes, the whole time they didn't get along, and I was upset because of that. It kind of ruined my party that year. Another time I had a terrible birthday, which, for context, I had a boyfriend around this time, and everything was going good at first. We did a bunch of fun things throughout the day. Later in the day, though, when I came home, my sister called me into the washroom, because that's usually the hangout spot, not including the kitchen, of course, and she said she had some bad news for me, bad news relating to my boyfriend. All of a sudden, it went serious, and I got a worried feeling in my gut. The thing is, I kind of suspected up until that point that my boyfriend was, well, you know, flirting and talking with other girls and whatnot, but I had no proof, no evidence to lead me in this direction, so I passed it off as nothing, because that's wrong of me to assume, but I couldn't help but get a weird gut instinct that something was off about him. So when I heard her say this, tell me that there was bad news, I already knew what it was going to be. It freaked me out, in a way of coming to my own conclusion and being right, but not wanting to be right. I wanted to be wrong so badly in that moment. She told me she had been talking with some girls at his work, the one place I had no clue about how he acted towards the girls that worked there. Apparently he had said and done a few things to them, stuff I won't say because it's just not necessary to. The girls were uncomfortable with his behavior and reached out to my sister to warn me, since the girls were more around my sister's age that were affiliated with her friend group, thus why they talked to her about it instead of me. I was so crushed after hearing this. On my own birthday, I was mentally destroyed. I chose not to follow my gut feeling, only for it to be right in the end. I left the bathroom session with my sister and went back out to my boyfriend at the time. I looked at him in the eyes and pretended nothing was wrong. Yeah, that's right. I didn't want to ruin my own birthday. I didn't want to fight, not then, as much as I was upset at the situation. It was so hard to pretend everything was okay, because it really wasn't okay. I was upset and sad and confused. I hated those feelings. That ruined my birthday. But those were just 2 other times my birthday didn't go very well. So bad, in fact, I'd consider them to be terrible. But there was a super terrible, awful birthday that hasn't been spoken about yet. One that happened to me at the prime of being a little kid. A sweet, innocent little kid. I didn't think the world could do any wrong. This terrible birthday story takes place at a pottery place. One where you get your own clay-made pottery and get to paint it, and then put it in the kiln and take it home. Seems relatively mellow and honestly quite fun and peaceful too. Lots of kids in my city would go to this pottery place for birthday parties. It was a pretty hot spot for parties. So me and my friends I invited to the party all found a pottery we liked on the shelf and we painted them together. We even decided to make a group pottery that was a plate of all our names on it, one that I would get to keep at the end along with my other pottery I chose. Everything went good. We had birthday cake, I opened gifts, and eventually after completing our painted pottery, we left it in the kiln and we left. The day was over, I had a great time and went to sleep for the night. The next day I woke up and started to go up the stairs to my kitchen to eat breakfast, and I heard my parents talking about something. When I got to the top, my dad looked at me and he had some bad news. I was confused at first, but asked what it was. He told me that the pottery place went on fire during the night, and because of that, all our potteries got burnt along with the building. I stared at him and then started laughing. My dad's always been a jokester. He would always pretend to make jokes like these, and because this sounded so crazy and a very low probability of actually happening, I didn't believe him. And then he told me it really did burn down, in a serious way. My mom also agreed and said that the place burnt down. As soon as my mom said it burnt down, I believed it. Simply put, she never makes prank jokes like that. She hates that. Also, fun fact, you'd think the pottery place burnt down because it was from the hot kiln or something like that? But you'd be wrong. It was actually the next door pizza place that started the fire, and unfortunately the pottery place was right beside it. Everyone just assumed it was the pottery place, but weirdly enough, it wasn't even their fault. Also, this happened during the night, and from what we were told, nobody was in the buildings or was affected by the fire physically. I remember being shocked after hearing this bad news, not saying anything, and then all of a sudden going into tears, crying about how all our pottery was gone. Looking back, if something like this happened to me today, I'd be disappointed that my work was destroyed, obviously, a minor setback for sure, and definitely a bit upsetting, although I'd honestly feel more bad about the owners of the place and the people that were potentially near the fire. Again, no one was actually hurt in the fire, since it happened late at night, after hours, but I didn't know that right after hearing the news. So it kind of sounded awful that I only cared about our pottery. But we have to remember this was child Leamon. I didn't really think about the consequences of others yet, and what just had happened in front of me in the moment. I was crushed. Tears soon went into cry/screaming combinations, which I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad, that was probably really hard to tell me. I can't imagine having to tell a little kid that kind of news. And all I had in response was an outburst cry freak attack. Anyways, my parents tried to help and reassure me and tell me that it would be okay. I was so sad about the fire for a whole week, thinking about a scenario where if the place never went on fire, how happy I'd be. I even wrote in my school journal how terrible my experience was. My teacher probably laughed so hard at that journal entry. I only wrote positive ones before it, so that was probably a huge difference from my usual work. Not to mention probably interesting for her to read despite the grammar issues. But as time went on, we had heard news that the pottery place was moving to a new location. It would take a little bit until after spring, but it was moving and relocating, and that when they opened up shop, they were going to reschedule a party for me and all my friends to repaint a pottery, free of charge since the owners felt bad about what happened. We all went back there for a second time at the new location and repainted some pottery, even remaking the plate with all our names on it. I still have it in my keepsakes to this very day, and oh boy, what terrible memories it holds for me. What a roller coaster of emotions that plate pottery has buried within it. And well, that was my terrible birthday story time with 2 other bad stories. At least the last one sort of had a happy ending, where the others didn't really have any happy ending at all, but I still think the burning down of the pottery place was my worst birthday due to how much sadness it brought to me as a literal child, a kid full of sunshine and rainbows, brought down to despair. The other birthdays, I was at least a bit more mature to understand the situations, as upsetting as they were. Hopefully, from here on out, I only have good birthdays. Let me know if you guys have had any terrible birthday parties, or if you've had any good ones. I mean, that's better than a bad birthday. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe as a birthday gift to yours truly. It's been Leamon Puppy. Subscribe if you have already, and I'll see you guys all next time.